Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. We're going to be talking about Dead Space Remake, WorldBox Simulator, and Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. But first, my name is Christian.
And I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick. And I want you to do a big favor for me. I need you to go to Spotify and check out DL Gaming : a PC Gamecast. The artist name is Digital Logic with a K. And there's a new feature in Spotify that we're going to be implementing where we can ask users questions and you guys can send us your feedback through those questions. So please go ahead and give us a listen and we'll post the question for this week. If you have any suggestions for the question, message us on our Discord. Thank you.
Awesome. Wow, cool. That was a call to action, and that's done great. As you guys know, if you're returning to the show, we ping things on this show now. We always have, and now we're doing it officially. Last week, we figured out that the past tense of ping is pung, and I think that was kind of fun. I'm gonna ping this week. Skyrim Dev is commenting on slatters, so I always love when developers comment on games long past and kind of share the janky things behind the game. So apparently in Skyrim, they couldn't get ladders to work, so they just took stairs and angled them so much that they became ladders. They're not at a perfect up and down angle. They're actually all slightly mountainous. And they called them slatters, so that's fun. I feel like another fun fact is in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, they couldn't make boxes that exploded targetable. They couldn't make that a thing. So they shrunk down a super tiny enemy that you couldn't see into the middle of the box, and that was actually the object, and the box around it was just a skin that was like any other box in the world. So fun things that make games work. This Skyrim dev is making his own game. His name is Nate Perkypile, and he's making the Axis Unseen, which is a hunting game where you track down these mythological creatures. He said it's more like one of those real hunting games where you kill like bears and elephants and exotic game animals, except you're hunting like, the icicle monster that can shoot you to death from a mile away. Boom, headshot, and you have to figure out how to bring them down. So that is what I'm pinging this week, folks. What are you guys pinging?
What about you, Bobby?
I am going to talk about a Deep Rock Galactic TV show that is been hinted at. So this was posted by Zap in our Discord. I give him all credit for this. This is actually not as exciting as it sounds. It's an article on NME. I'm not familiar with that website. But all it says is that the Deep Rock Galactic creator has been approached about a TV adaptation, which literally everybody who does anything has been approached about a TV show. It really doesn't mean much or carry much weight. So I don't think we're anywhere near like this coming to fruition, but that is an interesting idea. Now, the person that commented on this was, in fact, Soren Lundgaard, who we have interviewed twice. And had a brief cameo in our Deep Rock video. Head on over to YouTube, check that out.
Head on to YouTube. He says, what is he? He says rock and stone, but did you synthesize that, Bobby, or was that just what he sounded like when he recorded it?
I might have played with it a little bit. I probably had to crank it up a little bit, but yeah, he's in there.
Okay. He does a decent dwarf noise, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Bobby, What would the ideal Deep Rock... Sorry to interrupt you. Do you have an ideal version of what this show might look like and how it would feature? Like, featuring the gameplay loop seems kind of typical or kind of boring.
It's just a K-drama about dwarves and bugs.
Yeah, I don't know how you would go about doing this. First of all, I would wonder if this would be animated or live action, but I would lean towards animated. It seems like it'd be a lot easier. And
do you think they could do like an adult cartoon kind of thing? Like I don't mean like Family Guy specifically, but like in that genre where it's like a cartoon towards adults and they make it a little bit more, I don't want to say edgy, but they do an animated show and they make it really funny and shit like that.
Well, based on the voice lines and the things the dwarves say in the game, then yeah, I'd say so. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion. I don't know if we'll ever see this. It's a nice idea, and I like the fact that they're branching out into different things. They've almost created an IP here with Deep Rock Galactic. I mean, it's been that successful. But we've got a question about this later on, so I'm going to save some of my comments until the end of the show when we answer listener questions.
Okay, interesting. I think my 2 cents now is perfect opportunity to tell the story from the perspective of the bartender in like the mining lounge. And every episode is like a unique story on a new dwarf miner who doesn't come back because they face some sort of terrible accident down there. But you get like a little slice of life of how they wound up there.
It's like a red shirt
Yeah,
from Star Trek
yeah.
in every episode.
Exactly.
They would have to
They
explain
just die.
Carl a little bit better too. And when we interviewed Soren, he said, "I don't think we're ever going to fully explain Carl. He's going to remain a mystery." So I don't know if we'll get anything in that area.
Cool. What are you
Interesting.
pinging there, Nicholas?
So this is my first ping that I will ever pung. Um, there's been some interesting news that came out about a week ago. Microsoft is no longer implementing exclusives for Xbox and most Windows PC titles. They're saying that they're going to do everything they can to port any exclusives to PS4 and Switch. Obviously, some games can't run on Switch. I don't think you can run like Gears of War 5 on Switch. Who knows? I might be wrong. I'm dumb. I don't know the Switch fucking like schematics and stats. But yeah, it's a very interesting move. I think what it is that they've seen that creation of their own product or products doesn't sell because they haven't sold as many units as PlayStation. And when they do sell, they do it via Game Pass. So if people are going to buy Game Pass, you're probably going to be able to buy Game Pass on PlayStation as well, and make more monthly money over actual flat sales, which is going to be kind of weird in the future. You know, how are we going to take stats for how long was this game played, or how many people played this game? Is it just going to be downloads, and then we're going to have to run like an algorithm for how long someone played, and does that count as someone similar to buying a game? I don't know. Would that be the new measurement? So it's pretty interesting. And it brings a lot of questions to the table.
It does. We just had that heated um, two strikes, right? The actors strike and yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about. What were the two
Right.
strikes that
Guild
just
strike
happened?
and the actor strike.
Yeah, writers and actors striking over AI and the streaming service model. So I don't know if that's going to change the video game industry in the same way, and we'll have to deal with the same repercussions. But
Not to get too activist here, but as far as like the actor thing goes, is really interesting, and even the writers thing, because it's both of the same. It's like both heads on the same coin for the same problem. So to put it in perspective for people who had no idea what was going on, one of the main things that they were arguing about was and this is not on the AI side. The AI side is a whole another hornet's nest of problems. But what they were arguing, what they were requesting was that there's a lot of shows that get made. There's a lot of shows that film extra episodes, and those episodes never get shown on streaming platforms. They never get debuted. Let's say you film a show and there's 12 episodes in a season, and you film 16 or 17, or you're a writer and you write 16 or 17 of those episodes. What would happen is that you would only get paid for what was being streamed or what was being shown. So if you worked on those episodes that didn't show or weren't debuted, you weren't getting paid for them. And so people were doing years and years and hours and hours and hours of work and writing and stuff like that. They would record everything, they would get they turn everything in, and they would not get paid unless that content was being shown. And the big problem about that is that you can write all this stuff and you've already been accepted as an actor and you're still on the payroll, but if only one of your episodes or two of your episodes get shown, you don't get paid for all the work you've done. So that was the big deal about that.
that happens in video games already all the time. People have been working for like, I mean, I guess they do get paid because people are on salary, but as far as like bonuses, people work on a project that they hold dear to their hearts for 3 years and it gets canceled 95% completed, like
Yeah, but you don't get paid salary in that realm at all. Like you don't get paid any kind of salary for like writers and like or actors. Some do, and in some places. That's why some places want to work. Some people want to work for certain studios because you are salaried. But there's like a minimum payment like request that they're doing for hours and amount of hours needed. So if you're going to hire a writer to be on the team, you're going to have to pay them at least a minimum of a certain amount of money. And they ended up winning that battle. They ended up winning that fight. I don't, like
Nice.
I said, I don't know too much about the AI stuff besides um, using pre-recorded voices to voice people without their permission. That was like a big deal. But you have people like, for example, Bruce Willis, who's now mute because of the disease he has. Um, and he signed, before he had all of his issues with his health, he signed away his rights to his voice, so that any editing needs to be done for any of his previous movies or anything that wants to be used in the future for maybe like a call out for like a Die Hard, they can do that. But not every actor or actress or not every writer wants their stuff being cultivated by AI and used. So
Why do I feel like they'll use Bruce Willis's voice for evil? I feel like he signed it in an effort for good, and they're only going to use it for evil. But I don't know.
apparently there are parameters for things that you can use, and you can specify with, like, I never
Okay,
want
cool.
my audio to be used for like children's content, or like I never want
Yeah,
my
yeah.
audio to be used for a movie for a character that's going to die that portrays me and things like that. So apparently
Okay,
there
cool.
is restrictions.
Sweet.
But yeah.
Okay, Bobby, do you have any parting thoughts on this Microsoft no exclusive news or about the actors or writers strike?
Nope.
Okay, that's fun.
What about you, Sniper? You have anything about the exclusives?
No, I don't think I have anything about the exclusives. I feel like they were already trending in this direction, it seems like. So just publicly announcing it as like a pillar of their company seems, I don't know, par for the core. Like they've already kind of been doing this a bit with their latest releases, haven't they?
I think what's interesting is that we might see the full on sharing of network for Xbox and PlayStation, so that cross platform is going to be seen as like a standard for most multiplayer games, i.e., Call of Duty and things like that. Because I know for some it's not, but we probably will see that in the future.
Cool. Okay. Moving on down to highlights. So these are games that we definitely have been playing, and Nick's going to start us off with something exciting from my childhood.
Yeah, so Dead Space got a remake. It came out a couple months ago, and I saw this game for sale for $25 at Best Buy. And I was like, is this the remake or is this the old copy? So it turns out to be the remake. I used a coupon. I ended up getting it for $5. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's put a couple hours in this and see what it's like. So I ended up playing about 4 or 5 hours of it. And boy, howdy, have they made some changes. I played Dead Space 1 a lot. Um, and the game's still scary as shit. I would arguably even say that it's even more scary because of the fidelity. They changed the AI on how some of the necromorphs work. It is awesome. I will probably continue playing this. I only play with Leslie because she's like, if we're gonna play a scary game, I want to watch. So I'm like, all right, cool. So the game has been remade. Like the overall story is still the same. The way that like the systems work as far as like aiming and shooting are still the same. It's a third person shooter, but it is a completely remade game as far as graphics go. There were things that were removed that a lot of people hated, and they decided to remove because it was kind of just like extra bullshit in the game. For example, the turret sections where you would go into a turret on the ship and then shoot meteors and stuff like that. They removed that completely. Thank God. It's pointless. Things were optimized. The number one example is zero G controls, which was a big deal because you would be flying as Isaac and you would fly in like one direction and it wouldn't feel realistic because Isaac has like boots and shoulder mounted like jetpacks, and you would just slam into a wall or you just do things that just really were like it didn't feel
Satisfying,
like
or
you satisfying, and your inputs didn't really like matter too much. But it's been fixed. I did 2 0G sections or 3. As far as new things that they added, if you're a big fan of Dead Space, I think you should really play this. I think if you've never played Dead Space before, you should play this. If you like scary games, overall, Dead Space is a great series. I would not be surprised if they remake Dead Space 2. I really hope they do because it's my favorite of the series. But as far as things that they've added to this game, there's now new side quests. There's new parts of the map that have been added. There's new dynamic events that involve enemies that are kind of like almost like cinematic events. I want to say there's additional areas that have been added to the existing map. There's new weapons and weapon upgrades that were not featured before, and oddly enough, there's an alternative ending that apparently lines up more with Dead Space 2. And spoiler alert, Dead Space 2 kind of has a big change in starting tone. In Dead Space 1, you're a engineer that goes to a ship that has been how do I say this, like disabled, and your girlfriend or your boo thing is on the ship as well, so you kind of have another story of another thing to look for on the ship. But you go in there and there's horrors beyond comprehension on the ship, and you have to figure out how to fucking leave. The second game opens up with you in a straitjacket, captured in a space station. And so it's like, how the fuck did that happen? There were some comics explaining it, but not many people read the comics and things like that. But apparently the alternate ending kind of explains what happens to Isaac and how it kind of connects it to Dead Space 2.
Well, I should say there's also a movie that explains the connection, which if you go to our YouTube channel, I have a video game movie review on Dead Space Aftermath. The big change between the two also is Isaac doesn't talk in the first one at all. And in the second one, he won't shut up.
Yeah, well, in this one, he talks a lot as well. I mean, I wouldn't say a lot. He talks a good amount.
Oh, really? They added voice lines.
Yeah, and so he's like, a lady gets obliterated inside the ship, and he's like, Janine! You're like, what the fuck? And I completely forgot that he doesn't talk in the first one. I don't know why I thought he did, but yeah, he completely has a voice and he uses it, and it adds a lot to the certain scenes, like especially when you see the first necromorphs and you're like, holy shit. And Isaac's like, is he alive? It's like, dude, you just saw him literally get ripped in half in front of you. He's not alive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know, we went through this stupid phase with video games where protagonists didn't talk, and people would say like, "Oh, well, it's the protagonist is the empty vessel that the player is projecting themselves onto, so he shouldn't talk." And they made some like stupid artistic.
That's literally what I said last episode. But continue.
We all thought it was like, I don't know. I think like back in the day, I was like, oh yes, of course. Yes. I see it.
Yes, that checks out.
Yeah. But now I'm just like, that's stupid. They just didn't want to pay for a voice actor, or it was like too difficult. But thinking back on the first Dead Space, he really didn't have anyone to talk to. I think at some points he runs into some other people on the abandoned ship, or communicates like with his old captain or something before they get annihilated. But like there's a few moments, but for the most part, he's that game, you are very much alone. So I can understand there not being.
In the beginning of the game, there's a lot of talk between his current crew and him because they get kind of separated, like they did in the original game as well. And so he does talk a lot during that. Before, now I'm remembering it, they'd be like, "Hey, Isaac, open the door," and you're just like, you just nod, you just go do it. But now he's like, I can't fucking open the door, it's electrocuted.
Like, I think silent protagonists need to come back in 2020. Guys, this artistic direction, that was peak video game. Okay.
Oh geez. I'm gonna send you back to the
I mean, it was so funny in the Half-Life games because a character would talk to you and you just like stand there, and then they just start talking again. It was just like, it felt like a one-sided conversation, or you didn't hear the other side of that conversation. It was so strange. Anyway,
would you pick it up, Bobby?
The Dead Space remake? Probably. So we tried to play Dead Space 3, didn't get too far in it. I wasn't too impressed by it. I really enjoyed the first one, and I thought the second one was okay. I thought it was pretty good. I think I beat the first one twice. I liked it so much. But it is a very scary game, and it's kind of difficult to play because of that. It's like Doom 3 all over again, man. Like that game, I keep going back to it, and I keep not finishing it just because it actually is pretty scary.
For those who don't know, the reason why Dead Space was so revolutionary for its time is that the main enemies you face are these things called necromorphs that are insanely crazy looking and things like that. But the main thing is that like they access the planes of like where you are in, whether it be like in a cargo hold or whether you're in an elevator, things like that. They can access them from like multiple directions. And so the game would put you in instances where you could interact with different things at different times, or you can choose to not interact with things at all. And then certain necromorphs would come out of certain places, and not many people's experiences would be the same. There would be set areas that you would do like a defense mission or like a defense timer, and that would be something that people would talk about together, be like, hey, do you remember that area in the medical bay where they all start coming out to you? And you're like, yeah, but like there'd be times you're like, I went through this hallway and I stomped on this body, and then a necromorph showed up behind me, and another person would be like, that didn't happen to me, like what the fuck. And like they come out of different vents, and they come out of different like wall panels and things like that, and that really changes up how the game works, or that's how it changed up the atmosphere before. So it's really revolutionary for its time.
Before we move on, I want to go back briefly because the game is $70 Canadian, and the deluxe version is $90 Canadian on Steam. And Nick said, sorry, am I following the chain of events right? You went physically to a store, to a bargain bin. In that bargain bin,
I went to Best Buy.
You went to Best Buy, and there was a coupon in a bin that let you purchase it digitally for $5?
No, so what ended up happening is the game was on sale for $25. And so
Okay.
I was like, oh, I have
On
a
Steam?
coupon for $20. No, in Best Buy for
Okay.
PS5. It was on sale for Xbox as well. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to go to Best Buy. I have this $20 coupon. I'm just going to buy this game for $5. And yeah, that's how it worked. It was a dream. And I think I would probably not play this game unless it was like more than 50% off or 50% off in itself. So yeah, I'm going to look at the price history for it and see the lowest it's ever reached.
Well, it is
Okay.
part of the EA Play subscription, so $5 a
Get the
month.
fuck out of here with that, dude. Ain't nobody want that bullshit.
Well, it looks like you can buy that straight from Steam, so you still could play it on Steam, but you'd be paying $5 a month to EA.
What happened to you? Have they reached out to you? Do they have their tentacle? What dirt do they have on you that you are repping
I'm
them?
just reading the Steam page, dude.
You mean like the literal forces of Mordor of gaming, aka fucking EA? Right now you can get a CD key for Steam. I'm not gonna say where, but you can get it for $27. So yeah, check that out.
Oh, that's not much better than paying EA. $80 is pretty steep. Not that it isn't worth it. Like if they've added voice acting and they've added all this new content, like it is probably worth that amount, but it is pretty steep for a little Canadian like me to justify, unless it's like my game of the month that I'm gonna play through. So yeah.
It is.
I will go ahead, Bobby.
It says right now, I'm looking at the Steam page. It says it's currently $19.99 at GOG, which is a good
Okay.
place
There
to
you
buy
go.
games. Yeah.
That is a good place to buy
Yeah.
games.
I will definitely say if you've never played Dead Space or you're a big fan of Dead Space, definitely play the remake. It is 100% worth the money. I'm having a great time. I'm probably going to play on Wednesday or Thursday with my wife and probably play another 4 hours. So
Nice.
come up with a update next week.
Oh, this is an aside. I'm excited to hear the update as well, but this is an aside. Did Leslie ever film you playing that Viking Rock Band VR game?
No, and we haven't actually been playing VR because it's final seasons for school. So like we've been doing final projects and final tests and
Okay.
stuff like that. So we've been really busy.
Right.
But we're gonna have 2 weeks off soon, and 1 week we're going to Dallas, and then 1 week we're gonna have off. And so I'll have her film me doing that game.
Yay!
We need if you go to Patreon and you go to our Patreon and you sub for $5, I might do a shirtless version. So we'll see.
Wow, that is a deal, guys. Head over to patreon.com/DLGaming. That is that's intense. Okay, I'm going to talk about a game that was on my radar last week called WorldBox Simulator. It inspired us to play Spore, and I've been playing the shit out of Spore, but that's next week. This week, we're going to talk about this game that inspired that. It's by a single dev called Maxim Karpenko, and it is $25 in early access, which I thought was a pretty good price for what you get, because in this Petri dish fantasy civilization sim, you're spawning all these... You spawn your map. You know, it's kind of like Civ, where it's like, do you want islands? Do you want Pangea? Do you want continents? What size do you want those to be? And then there's a bunch of tiny options, and once you fiddle fart around, it generates you a world just for you. After you do that, your next move is to start filling out the wildlife. So I'm putting chickens, I'm putting squirrels, I'm making packs of wolves, I'm putting some bears on like near caves and stuff. Basically, guys, I'm
God.
I'm I'm God and I'm living in my mind. A lot of the fun of this game is retreating back into your imagination and just making things make sense to you. Mechanically, there is some stuff going on here, but that happens when you spawn your first people. So you have orcs, dwarves, humans, and elves. All the typical guys. And you put them on the field, and then you kind of watch them develop based on where you've placed resources, animals, and terrain features. So I thought it would be cool if in the bottom left of my map it was like this desert region. I put this volcano, and around this volcano, I put all these evil kind of fire demons that spawn out of lava. And if they touch lava, they duplicate. So they're kind of in the zone where they're slowly multiplying in the corner. And I thought that would be a cool boss for like my people to go tackle. What ended up happening was my orcs, who were closest to this group, fought with them enough that they became immune to fire. Then, once they were immune to fire, the fire monsters kind of went through the orc lands and didn't really affect any of the buildings. They were kind of living harmoniously after years of conflict. And the orcs used that to have a great defense because all the other three nations, the elves and the humans and the dwarves, banded together to try to kill the orcs. And I was watching them send wave after wave at the orcs, and they were just perishing to these fire demons that were protecting them. And, that was only one of the cool kind of things that happened. You can spawn so many different things on this map. All the typical ones: dark wizards, light wizards, druids, plague doctors, zombies, skeletons, necromancers, all sorts of wildlife, and all sorts of resources. And you kind of just watch. It's kind of like an idle game, but I didn't find myself bored. I was clicking through random people. I was clicking through factions to seeing what their decisions are doing. There's like plots where one family will try to overthrow another family, and there's races, but it starts in a closer knit political organization. There's clans. So a bunch of clans make up a faction, and a bunch of factions make up an alliance. So if parts of the orcs were unhappy with like this fire, or if parts of the orcs didn't become immune to fire, there's a potential for like a civil war to happen because half of the people in this nation have a trait that the other half don't. Does that make any sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. I wonder if this game would grow even crazier if there was modding support, kind of like tabs.
Oh, totally. Yes. It's in early access right now. The next thing they're adding is families. So that will be below clans. So you'll have families, clans, factions, alliances. And I feel like after that, the political separation will be finished. And then they can maybe start tackling stuff like, modding support, different races entirely. Orcs still hate elves. I don't know. And all my games, orcs and elves just started attacking each other. I was like, guys, can you get along? And there must be some sort of predisposition they have to finding each other on the map and killing each other. I started on a small map, and that felt a little too intimate, so I went to the largest map. And it is so big. I thought my computer was going to I don't know, have like a meltdown, but everything ran pretty good. I think I had like 12 alliances going on, the biggest political organization. And that was a little too much to keep track of. So, WorldBox God Simulator reminds me a lot of Black and White, except there's a little less of you fiddle farting and a little more of you just sitting back and watching these civilizations take off from the circumstances you set them in. So I can recommend this game. I love it, but I will say I do not love it as much as Spore because I have been having a lot of fun there. So yeah, any questions about WorldBox God Simulator, Bobby, Nick? Any factions, any situations you wanna guesstimate on?
I think my only thing is that I would I like fantasy stuff. Obviously, I play I play D&D and a bunch of other shit. I really, really, really would like to see other people's takes like via modding for this game, because like any kind of like sandbox or like God Simulator, they get so wacky as soon as you're like, other people, please put your germs in this petri dish and see how crazy it gets.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would love to see that. I mean, the game looks fun as shit already. It's not my speed, even though I do play Civ and stuff like that. But it's not really my cup of tea. But it looks cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really connected with God simulators. They don't seem all that interactive to me, but I don't know. I'll play Spore this week, and we'll see if my opinion changes on that. I've never played Spore before, by the way, so this is
Oh wow,
yeah.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
How
so
have I played Sport and you didn't? It came out when I was in high school, dude.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I missed that one somehow. So
Oh
you're going to get
no,
a fresh
Bobby.
take on it.
Yeah, because I'm gonna come in with like these rose-colored nostalgic glasses, and you're gonna be like, the UI is just dog shit."
No, dude, you know I love old games, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
we'll
Comes
see.
back first thing he says, "This UI is dog shit."
Mark it in the podcast. We'll see next week if that's true. Actually, the UI for Spore was like really intuitive. My whole Spore journey has been pretty much effortless in like how I understand how to play the game, and I immediately, this was like a mass marketed game, right? It was marketed to like anyone who had a computer at the time, anyone who played The Sims, up until anyone who played an RTS, all could kind of play Spore. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Maxis was a good studio. So the expectations are pretty high. A few weeks ago, we took guesses on how much we thought Deep Rock Galactic Survivor was going to cost. And somebody guessed it on on the button, man. So Nick, you guessed 24.99, which seemed pretty
Mhm.
high. I guessed
Yeah, it was.
19.99, which in retrospect that does seem pretty high. Emilio, he initially guessed 14.99 but changed it to 9.99, and that is how much it cost. 9.99 on sale right now for 10% off, 8.99. So I immediately picked it up when I saw that. I mean, $9, of course. I was surprised at the reviews this game was getting. They were good, but not that good. So they're around 83% with, I don't know, 4,000 reviews on Steam right now. And I read through them just to see what people's problems were. And I understand them, but I don't personally agree with them. So they've done a really good job of making Deep Rock Galactic, but a Vampire Survivors type game. Like it really feels like there's a lot of things that are like Deep Rock Galactic. And I think if you go in expecting like another Vampire Survivors clone, you're going to be a little taken aback. You're going to be a little disappointed because it's just not quite as fast or quite as it doesn't have that urge to do one more round, one more round. It doesn't really have that pull, and it's very challenging and it's very spread out. You've got to grind a little bit, like you did in Deep Rock Galactic. You had to grind to get those levels, to unlock those things, and each run's a little bit better. That's how this game is. I put 20 hours in this week, which
Oh
is
wow,
unheard of.
nice.
Yeah. I mean, I had a
Damn.
lot of time off this week. I did go to Vegas, but I still had quite a bit of time off. But 20 hours is pretty much unheard of for me in gaming nowadays. So the fact that I spent this much time on it, I think says something. Um, I've learned a few things too as I've been playing it. I like the different classes that you play. Some of the reviews I read, they said like there's not enough difference. I totally disagree. There's wildly different play styles with these classes, the weapons that they get, the way you go about completing the levels. But again, it's all spread out and it's kind of slower. So I think in the 20 hours that I've played, I've got like a handful of like memorable runs where I just felt like I broke the game and just like totally dominated and had this crazy build where everything just came together. Um, I think that happens a lot more often in something like Soulstone Survivors or Vampire Survivor. But I don't know. It's good, man. Like 20 hours into the game, and I'm like maybe halfway through it, and I'm like running into a wall here. I'm having trouble progressing. There's a total of 45 I don't know, things you can unlock. Like each mission has like 3 things you need to unlock for them. So out of the 45, I've unlocked 25 of them. Um, and it is like it's pretty hard for me to progress at this point. Like I gotta get lucky and I gotta play really well on a run to make something happen. But I'm really enjoying it. The only thing that I wish this game had is multiplayer. If this game was co-op, that'd be just game over, man. It'd be too
That
much.
would
It'd
be
be so,
such an homage to the original Deep Rock
Yeah,
Galactic. That's
what?
kind of a shame that it isn't. Dang.
well, it made me
That's
think,
so
are
weird.
there co-op Vampire Survivor games? There must
Yeah.
be. There's so many of them now, so many clones. But it would have been great if this was. Um, I mean, yeah, the first Deep Rock is all about co-op. I mean, quintessential co-op right there. But this game still is a lot of fun, single player. But yeah, co-op would have just taken it to the next level.
Yeah. Dude, I saw on Twitter our good friend Soren Lungard uh, say that Deep Rock Galactic Survivor passed the concurrent all-time high player count of Deep Rock Galactic on release, and he seemed quite
Wow, that's pretty
pleased
cool.
about that. I didn't look at the Steam page when I saw him post that, and there's only 7,000 reviews of the game, so that's a lot of people playing the game and not reviewing. Remember, folks, if you don't leave a positive review, as Bobby says, the terrorists will. If you like a game, show support for your developer and post a positive review. But yeah, breaking records already with the $8.99. So
I think a lot of that had to do with the price point too. Like that just $9. Are you kidding me?
That's nothing, dude.
It's totally worth it. And the game is in early access too. They're taking feedback on Discord, and there's been a lot of good suggestions in there. I'm sure they're going to tweak and make some changes. They've already made some changes from when I played it in the beta. But yeah, they're going to continue to improve on it, but it's like a solid game as is right now.
nice. That's kind of their
Interesting.
thing, right? Release a solid game in early access and then just make it one of the funnest games of all time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what it turns into over time, because I realize that you'll probably jump back into it anytime they add something as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a fun game just to like pick up every now and then because you can get a run done pretty quick, and it would be nice to. I want to get further in it. What's the other one that is coming out? I don't think they have a release date for it yet. It was Rogue, Deep Rock Galactic Rogue.
Oh, Rogue Trader. I'm conflating two games actually. I have no idea what it's called.
And Rogue Trader's a Warhammer game.
Rogue
Yeah.
Core, I think. Is that it?
Oh,
I
it
feel like
is Rogue Core. Yeah. Yeah.
Rogue Core.
So-
All right. That's the one that's going to be a roguelike, but it's going to be another first person shooter.
Yeah, but this one's going to be co-op.
Yeah. Yeah. The Rogue Core will be co op. I'm definitely anticipating that game. Can't wait for that to come out. But I think that one's still like they haven't released any details on when it's going to be released.
Yeah. Okay, so 3 games in the Deep Rock Galactic universe will be treated to. We'll be so lucky to live in this world, and I feel like that's good. A good breeding ground for this TV show pitch. I don't know, like we released 3 games. We have this community of people who love dwarves.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they're getting that big that they could do something like that.
Imagine like people who aren't familiar with Deep Rock Galactic turning on Netflix and being like, "What is this?" Like, they're just...
Or if it's terrible, they're like, I'm never touching that shit ever.
Yeah, it's a brand risk, maybe for sure. Okay, moving on to On the Radar. So this is games that we are really, truly, honestly excited to play. And Bobby is going to start us off with Sheep. What's going on?
Yeah, Sheepy, a short adventure, a really short adventure. This game is about an hour to 2 hours long. It is the developer's first game, and it looks really good. Like visually, it's pixel graphics, but the lighting is done very well. I'm really impressed by the way this looks. But what really put it on my radar was the reviews that it was getting. There was actually an article on IGN. Yeah, IGN. Talking about how well this game was being reviewed. Um, I think it's one of the highest reviewed or best rated games of 2024 on Steam. And for that's pretty impressive considering it's the developer's first game. Um, I read through the reviews and I had a really hard time understanding like what was so good about it. It seems like there's something very emotional about the story that people were connecting with, but also the mechanics seem very simple at first, but then build something interesting. And I'm really curious how they were able to do this in such a short game. Well, what I think helps the really positive reviews too is the fact that this game is free. Because when a game's free, I think you give it a lot more credit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like if it's free, it's
Mhm.
like you can't really critique it that much. It's
You would be
free.
a pretty big dick. You'd be like,
Yeah.
terrible game. Do not even download for free. Like, it would have to be pretty bad to get that negative review.
Yeah. So for free, an hour of my time, like I'll probably check this out this week just to see what all the hubbub is about.
So imagine how great it would feel, dude, if you released your first game and it was the highest reviewed game. Like, like, is there anything comparable? Like, that would feel pretty awesome. It would give you confidence to release your next game. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is this developer has a YouTube channel with 12.8 million subscribers. So I feel like he's not going into this without a little bit of an audience. And I wonder
Well,
what,
there is so in the article on IGN, the
yeah.
developer is Mr. Suicide Sheep, which yes, there is a YouTube channel. I think the guy makes music or something, but that is not the developer. I don't know if they're associated somehow or why the developer says that, but the developer that they interviewed who actually worked on the game, his name was Thomas Lean. So I'm not sure what the relationship is there between him and the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. So it's not even his primary YouTube channel. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that game is Sheepy, a short adventure. Check it out. Just came out about 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
Cool.
I mean, it seems super cute.
It does. I think my cat wants my attention. I don't know if everyone can hear this incessant whining. That's Mr. Fatso. He's attached to me at the hip.
That's my nickname in high school.
You take him to the vet and like they're just like, is Mr. Fatso here?
Dude, there's an Instagram channel that's just devoted to vets getting cats with extreme names, and they're like, Mr. Bigglesworth the 17th of Macaroni Town.
No, I hate when people go overboard like that. I'm just like, no, come on, man.
The best thing is when I go to the vet, I have to be like, it's PH, not F. It's Fatso.
Oh my
not
God.
Not.
You're the worst.
You're the worst cat person there is.
Oh, you are the problem, man.
Well, in a lot of ways, yes, but come on, this cute cat face. I mean, that's a Mr. PH Fatso if I ever seen one. Okay, I'm going to talk about a game that's not about a cat. I'm going to talk about a game about things that cats hunt. It's called Wingspan. And this weekend, I went on a ski trip to the mountains. It's Family Day in Canada, which means a day dedicated to spending with your family, which I decided to spend with my friends. At this ski lodge, we played a board game called Wingspan, and I don't know what to say. It's one of the best board games I've ever played. Had the pleasure of playing.
Dude, I've seen it before.
Yeah, it's been on like TikTok and like YouTube, and lots of people have been commenting on it, like just away from the niche board game group of people, because it's about collecting birds. And all the birds have different types of food that they eat and different habitats that they live on, different amount of eggs that they lay. And it's all kind of based on what the bird actually does in real life. And basically, you spend 4 rounds collecting the birds on your mat and making the best plays you can to collect the best birds, use all their abilities properly, and at the end of the game, you score your mat. It was awesome to play in person, but when I found that it was online, like, this is something I don't know a lot about, but I need to start educating myself on, is board game conversions to video games on Steam. Because Rianne bought Wingspan, this Steam game, and it looks like identical to the board game. There's another game I play all the time too called Dune Imperium, and it looks exactly the same on the Steam version. And so I think every successful board game, like going forward from now, is getting a digital version on Steam, you know? And it's a different type of game. It's not a video game, but it's a different type of game that is equally as fun. And I want people to give these games a chance. So I'm putting Wingspan on my radar. I'm gonna play it off Rianne's Steam, and I'll report back.
So does
Cool,
everybody
man.
need a copy of this game to play with each other?
In person, no. It's just kind of a standard board game, and the bird deck is it just comes with the board game. But on Steam, yes, everyone does need a copy on Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm going a complete opposite direction from the cute and wonderful to the horrific. I discovered that after playing Hell Let Loose, there's a game that's currently competing with it. It's called Squad 44. Funny enough, it's made by the people that make Squad. Originally, the game was called Postscriptum. It was a mod, and then it was separated into another game. It didn't do too well, so the company that makes Squad bought it. It's a World War II game. It's set in 1944. The main thing that is possibly coming to the game is more factions than they have in Hell Let Loose. In Hell Let Loose, they have just Germans, Africa Corps, Russians, Americans, and British. That's it. And so these games are military sim lights, I want to say. Like nobody's like super taking orders. Nobody's like zeroing their guns. It's a fucking video game. Like you get shot, you respawn, you go back in. It uses the same engine as Squad. It's just updated and a little bit more tweaked for the environment. The game is constantly getting updated. Right now, it's $29.99, and it's not even on sale, which is cheaper than Hell Let Loose, which is $54.99. From what I've heard online, from videos that I've watched, because I just fucking bought Hell Let Loose, put like 8 hours into it, and then I get people messaging me, "Oh, you should check out Squad 44." It's got mixed reviews right now. Overall, it's got positive reviews. Just anytime they make a change, it seems like they're going like 2.5 steps forward and like 2 steps back. So they're just incrementally making better changes, but people get mad anyways. But everybody and their mom says that Hell Let Loose, like from the Squad community and Hell Let Loose, that Squad 44 is a pretty solid game. If you like the mechanics of Squad, you like how fluid Squad is, that you'll like this version of the game. It's set in World War II, so it's obviously way different than using modern day tanks and rocket launchers and stuff like that.
Nick, I don't know if you know, but Postscriptum is one of my most favored and treasured games. I played Postscriptum before I played Squad. It was kind of maybe the first hardcore military sim I tried to get my hands on, and from what you're saying, it sounds like they have done away with a lot of the hardcore elements and made it a little bit more like Hell Let Loose, or
No. So Hell Let Loose is also very hardcore. Like you get
okay.
99% of the guns in that game are one-shot kills. There are like aspects of the game where like you're bleeding and like you can build things. It's very much, it's still hardcore, but like, for example, I actually had something wrong last time I talked about Hell Let Loose. I talked about how you had a wrench when you play the second anti-tank person. You don't. You get something way crazier. It's a 2-man position where you have to have someone follow you with supplies, and you can set up an anti-tank gun, like a cannon, anywhere you want in the map, as long as it meshes into the ground correctly. And so things like that are very popular in Squad, especially when you play as like the insurgent forces and you can build things. So it's still a realistic shooter. It's not like, oh, you're getting shot 30 times in Call of Duty and you don't die. It's very much realistic. If you get killed, another thing is like if you get killed by explosives, you can't be revived. If you get headshot, you can't get revived, and things like that. So, yeah, it's a reimagining of Postscriptum that's using the Squad engine. That's apparently really it's coming along. Apparently, it's going to follow as well as in Squad footsteps because it's in early access. But once it gets released, the price will increase. So I would say probably pick it up at $29.99 instead of Squad's release price of $39.99. So yeah.
Nice. If you had to this, Nick, let me know. I would love to. I'd love to play with you. We had fun playing Squad together. Me, you, and Amelia way back in the day when I got the tank.
A lot of
stuck
yelling, and I was drunk too.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
par for the course for that time. I think everybody was drunk.
Yeah.
But I would love to play this game as well. I just want to wait until it gets into a little bit more of a playable state. Apparently, there's a problem with crashing and graphics and things like that. I love World War II shooters, especially when they're realistic. So yeah, let's see what happens. I'll probably wait until I'm like dry on games and then probably pick this up, or dry on multiplayer games. Right now, I'm grinding through WoW and playing Dead Space whenever I can. That's like that. I'm trying to hit level 40. I'm a crack addict at this point. And someone's gonna respond, "You ever suck dick for WoW?" I'm like, no, don't worry about it.
Wow, I don't know if anyone was gonna bring. I wasn't, Bobby. Were you gonna bring that up? I was not. I was not gonna say that.
You never heard that joke? It's like, don't ever compare anything to crack unless you're gonna suck dick for whatever it is.
I haven't heard that.
No, it was a joke from that movie with Bob Saget as that cameo. What was the movie with Dave Chappelle? God, the late 90s, Half Baked.
Oh, Half Baked, yeah.
Yeah. He gets up at a meeting, like a substance abuse meeting, and talks about how he's addicted to weed. And then Bob Saget jumps up and says, "That's not a real, issue. I smoke crack. You ever suck dick for weed or something like that?" I'm explaining this like 25-year-old joke here, guys. It's not working.
It's still good. I like it.
This is the
It's not
first
for
time I've
Canadian
heard
use,
of
apparently.
anything about this. Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever watched Half Baked?
No, and don't get
It's
started
one
on
of the
movies.
greatest stoner comedies of all time.
I don't. I honestly, there's a huge hole in my memory. There's like a vortex of movies I haven't watched, and you guys are just gonna have to work around me, okay? Like it's just what it is.
If I
Okay.
could send you a fart through the internet, I would.
I think you can.
You should watch that movie.
Guess that sound, folks. There's $70 in the pot, and due to popular requests, due to knocks at the door, I have put all the failed guesses and all the hints in the Discord, so you can use that to your advantage to try to guess. You can email pixelshitshow@gmail.com to guess. And what is the mystery sound, you might ask? It's right here. That's what people haven't been guessing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. If you guess it, you get $70. If you're a patron, you get 2 guesses. This week, Zap sent in a guess. He says, it's a bullet ricochet from Source Mod Day of Defeat. And his second guess was a bullet ricochet from Gary's mod. Okay, looking on the faces here. Could be the moment of truth. What are we thinking, Bobby, Nick? Is this
It
good?
does sound like something.
It
from
does
Day
sound
of
like
Defeat.
a bullet ricochet, especially from Steam. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Well, I've said that I'm pretty sure it's something by Valve. And yeah, I've played a lot of Day of Defeat, and this sounds very, very familiar. I don't know about Gary's mod. It could very well be from that. I didn't really play much Gary's mod, but that's all Valve stuff anyway. So yeah, given that one of our hints was mod, I feel like that's a good guess.
Okay, well, guys, I think I'm feeling pretty good about it too, 2 good guesses from Zap. In Discord, he said he was 99% sure. Maybe he said 95. He was in the 90s of confidence. And I'm confident too, I'm pleased to announce that it's still wrong. It's do better.
God damn you.
Come back next week. Come back next week and guess. I'll give you the hints that we've gotten so far. First person, melee, and mod. And usually, Nick, Bobby, and Emilio, they have a chance to help every episode to add a hint to the pile. And I just didn't prepare one this episode. There's no excuse. I had a nap. It's terrible. Should I give a hint anyways? I have the next one here.
Yeah, I think because you got a nap, everybody else should get the nap size token of a hint.
Okay. Oh, a nap size token of a hint. I only have like epic ones left. This next hint I feel like is gonna give it away because it could only be one. The next hint, folks, is Valve. That's the next hint. Valve.
Okay. I feel like we already arrived at that conclusion.
Yeah, I think that was already established.
I don't think that was
He's
the
like,
bong
game
we
on
thought it was.
Steam.
Game on Steam. Video game. Yeah. So it's Valve. So, put that hint to work in your little minds. And next week, come back for $75 in the pot. You will be able to buy. What game did we talk about earlier? You will be able to buy the Dead Space remake and have $5 left over in Canadian money if you win. Okay, that's good. Subs and donos. Amelia wasn't here, so this is awkward for me. I will read. King Tyron subscribed with Prime. Thank you, dude. They've subscribed for 16 months. Wow, what a commitment. They say you all sound good, G's, because they were listening to us doing sound check, audio much better on the episode now. Still waiting for your feedback. Bring it in Discord if you have it. And we're on to listener questions.
All right, we've got a few of them today. First one from Zap. What's your favorite VR game besides Half-Life Alyx? I feel like it's too bad Emilio's not here because he's the one that plays the most VR games, although the Viking one sounds cool.
Dude, that's my favorite VR game, and I've never played it. It just looks so cool.
I'm afraid to start it, even though I own it and I own a VR. I don't know. Like, because what it is Leslie wants to play too, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about playing and then switching headsets. It's like, what's going to determine us switching headsets? Are you going to do all the puzzle parts and I'm going to do all the fighting? Like, what's going to happen here? So, yeah, I'm a little hesitant on playing it.
Well, what's your favorite VR game, Nicholas?
Ragnarok, definitely 100%. It's so fun.
Okay.
Especially now that I figured out how you can download new games, like new songs. And so, yeah, it's so fun. It's definitely a workout. I wouldn't say it's better than Beat Saber, but it's my favorite game.
Yeah, I haven't played enough VR games to answer this one.
Sweet. What's the next question?
All right. Next question from Pyronical. Explain how your monikers came about.
You want me to go first, or who wants to go first? I already have my answer pretty much.
No, after you.
So originally, my username used to be KillerFuzz0. It turns out on a lot of platforms, when you make YouTube videos and other things, if you have the word killer in your name, it's not the best thing in the world. So I decided to ditch that moniker after 14 years or 15 years of using it and switch to Ian Pilaf, which is short for Emperor Pilaf from Dragon Ball Z. He's one of the funniest characters, a little blue guy. He's got a funny voice, and I just thought it was a cool name. Sometimes if that name's taken, oddly enough, it gets taken. I'll just take Pilaf, and if that doesn't happen, I'll just do like Ian Pilaf with like 2 Fs. But that's it.
I think that's going to be the Spotify episode question of the week. What is your favorite blue video game character or fantasy character? There's so many blue people. We got Cortana. We have
The people from Avatar.
The people from Avatar. We have Dr. Manhattan. Just blue people in general are super overrepresented, I think, in fantasy.
Yeah, we're the green people, man. Oh, actually, no, there's a lot of orcs. Never mind. Give us the maroon people.
Sniper. So, where do I start? This is deep lore and history. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be. So I was Sniper Missile for a long time because I played this Asian MMO where the different classes were different things. So there was a tank that was really good at siege. There was an airship that had sniper missiles that went really far, and you had to aim them. So that's where Sniper Missile came from, except I spelled missile wrong. And then I kind of wanted to switch things up.
You also spelled sniper wrong.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, let's not get that wrong.
we're 0 for 2. Then I wanted to switch it up and work my real name, Christian, into it. So I switched the S. I pulled a pretty epic gamer move here, folks. I switched the S from Sniper, and I put the C. So I could be unique. CN Sniper. Right? Following me? And
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people call you C-Niper.
I've heard people while playing games with them going, "Hey, Sniper."
that's fine.
You're not going to play on words.
That's fine. That's fine. It's what does RuPaul say? I don't care what you call me as long as you call me. You know, as long as you're saying those words, I'm happy. Um, so yeah, that's where Sniper CN Iper come from. I've also heard C Nipper, which I think, makes me sound like I'm on the high seas or something.
Okay. All right. I must have told the story of my name before. So Robert Digital, it's a play on Bobby Digital, which it's funny because every now and then someone will come up to me. I think Christian might have done this at one point, and it's like, did you know there's a rapper named Bobby Digital? Yeah, I was quite aware of that. That's kind of where it all originated from. Back when I was young, my friends and I, this is like early cell phone, maybe pre-cell phone days. We never knew where to like find anyone. So we'd drive around to these areas that people would always hang out. And then we'd hang out, people would be smoking weed, drinking, stuff like that. And we'd be listening to a lot of music, mostly rap music. And my name being Bobby, that was just like the natural, and being into like computers and stuff, that was kind of the natural nickname that came about. So the one thing that I do like about this is it's actually a nickname. I mean, nobody calls me it anymore, but that was like a real nickname. I didn't really, it was bestowed upon me. I didn't really come up with it on my own. Robert Digital just
Oh.
sounded more professional, but
So
yeah.
was that your first gaming name?
No, what's really funny is so the first time I ever played a video game with Emilio and Chad, one of the original members of this podcast, was the first Borderlands. And I remember Chad commenting on how boring my name was because at that time it was just Bobby and a bunch of numbers. So yeah, I never really had a screen name before then, but
That
yeah.
sounds like a Chad thing to do, though. By the way,
you, you're doing this like too cool for school. I didn't really give myself a screen name.
And
I'm not
dude,
down
to
with
be
the
honest,
screen name.
I'm kind of like I might be just dropping the digital and just be leaving it at Robert, at least in Discord, because like I'm in a lot of like other Discords too of um people that I know in real life or interact with in real life. And it's just kind of weird to be like, my name is Robert Digital.
Don't forget the digital. Don't forget the digital.
Don't forget
Don't
that.
forget it.
hey
Yeah.
Bobby, can you bring us that GPS report? I'm sorry, Robert Digital.
Yeah. First and last name, folks, at work. Please keep the.
Yeah, let's keep it professional here.
Yeah.
All right, next question from Afro Dragon. Have you guys played Helldivers 2 yet? If not, why the hell not? I like how it says why the hell not. I get it.
Oh,
I get it. Working
clever.
that in.
Ah.
I haven't
Yeah, you
played it.
are.
I think so. Was I correct last week? Does the game cost $40?
Yes, it is $39.99.
Okay. I'm not entirely sold at that price point. Plus, I've got Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. I've got Spore to play. Like, I've got.
We got things to do.
Yeah, real games to play, son.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Why does this game have mixed review? It's like so blown
I'll
up
tell you
and
right-
so fun.
I'll tell you right now,
Allegedly.
it's the reason why I'm not playing it.
Oh.
Right now, they're having a server issue, which they had to explain in detail last night on why they can't fix it. Apparently, they did not think the game was going to be this popular, and so the backend code cannot support more servers being added. And so it's one of the reasons why I won't play is because it's a very constant problem to buy this game, start it up, and then the servers are full, like literally full, not down, full. And you either have to wait in queue or just get lucky. And so there's a lot of people talking about that, and that's one of the reasons why it's getting mixed reviews.
It's smart, creates scarcity, drives up the price, right? That's why they're charging
exactly.
$40. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed the reviews were mixed, and I was curious about that because I see so many people on my friends list playing it. I will probably check it out at some point because I did enjoy the first one for a little bit, and I love co-op games, and it sounds like it's pretty good. Afro Dragon also asks, "What are your gamer tags again, Emilio? What happened to your junk removal?" Oh, Emilio's not here. All right, we're going to save that one for later, and we already answered the gamer tags one.
Yeah.
And I like using like gamer tag. I feel like is the official way to say it now, not screen name or moniker or.
I would say, yeah, I definitely agree.
Gamer tag seems to be what everyone's calling it these days. Okay, last question from Scram TX. With a new DRG game out and news of a possible show in the future, if you were one of the four dwarves, which would you be? So this leads me back to what I was alluding to at the beginning of the show when we were talking about the possibility of a Deep Rock Galactic TV show. They would This would be a good opportunity to give the dwarves their own individual personalities, because in the video game, there really isn't much of a difference between the different dwarves. They've got a few different voice lines based on, like, I'm the driller, so I'm going to make a drilling pun or something. But for the most part, they don't really differentiate between each other. It's not like the Ninja Turtles where it's like, all right, he's cool but rude. This guy's a party dude. There's obvious differences in their personality. A TV show could really bring that out. So when Scram TX is asking us here, which one will we be? I mean, personality wise, I have no idea, but as far as their job role, I don't know. I've always enjoyed the scout.
I'm 100% gonna be Gunner. If I'm gonna be put into the horrid abyss of the underground against giant bugs, please give me the biggest gun possible. Fuck off with being anything else.
I would like to be the driller because I feel like, you know, like on the side, I could make like pretty sick sandcastles and get distracted and like make drawings in the cave walls and, generally be just kind of go somewhere else away from the group and do my own thing.
Okay. I know Emilio always liked being an engineer in games. He always liked the character with the turret. But he played a lot of driller when we played Deep Rock Galactic. So he might fight you for that position.
Okay, we can both be driller, dude, in the TV show, There's lots of dwarf drillers out there.
Okay. Just two drillers, no NGs.
Cool. What are we playing this week? And it's Spore o'clock for me. The clock has struck Spore. I'm on phase 3, the tribal phase. So I'm starting to get the RTS and resource gathering components of the game. The previous 2 phases of the game were incredibly fun, but they play super different. So yeah, it's Spore to the end, Spore till I leave the planet.
It's gonna be. Oh, go ahead, Bobby. I had a huge lag spike. I'm so sorry. Everyone's face was frozen.
Yeah, you were frozen there for a second. I'm going to be playing Spore too. Got to check it out. See what the big deal is here.
I have played Spore, so I will not be playing Spore again. But what I will be playing is more WoW, which is just as old as Spore.
Nice.
I'm even playing the old version of WoW. But no, I'll be playing Dead Space. That'll be probably the game I talk about again next week because I want to get further into it and just discover more of the differences. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's a wrap, I guess. Bobby, do you want to sign us out?
Oh, I don't do the sign outs.
Oh, okay. Nick, do you want to? Sorry, this is awkward. Nick, would you please? Do you want to? Sign us out.
Speaking for Bobby, Sniper, and myself, Spore boobies.
Spore boobies. Okay.